Jonathan, an incredibly distressing story. Just tell us what you know about what's happened.
Well, yes, it is extremely. Very late last night, Friday night, there was an attack on this school. One of the attackers had gone there ahead of time and had apparently got in and then left the door open. And this group turned up and they first of all torched everything they could find and hacked to death with machetes and guns. They shot people, they hacked people. Many of the dead died of fatal burn wounds. And at least 41 people are dead, including 2 members of the public who were there on the scene and 1 guard.
I mean, absolutely horrible details there. Do we know what motivated this attack? Why this school may have been targeted? What was trying to be achieved by this?
Well, they're trying to embarrass the government and show that the government of President Yoweri Museveni does not control the area, and there's a lack of security. But that doesn't explain the brutality of it. These are fanatics, and they have been in the bush for many years, but they were largely discounted because they were effectively beaten by the government forces, but they've emerged in the last 2 years, reinvigorated with arms and new training and new recruits, and they swore loyalty to the caliphate about 2 years ago, and they've obviously been given rewards in terms of new armaments.
And in terms of what has been the public reaction to this, and what have the government said, and what happens now?
Well, the government is cracking down on them. I mean, what they've said, the public are obviously absolutely outraged and terrified about what's happened, because there's a long tradition of rebel attacks in Uganda, and particularly on the borders of its neighbours. And so it's been quiet for several years, but when things like this start, people get very nervous and jittery. The government has announced that this attack was only 1 mile from the border. They have announced that they have followed the attackers back into eastern Congo, where they have their bases, and they followed them into eastern Congo, and they're following them into what's called the Virunga National Park, which is a very remote area of Central Africa, where they've got one of the last populations of mountain gorillas, and it's very thick vegetation, and they've gone in after them. And they do have crack forces, the Ugandans, because they've been American trained, so they are going to go in there. But nevertheless, it's highly embarrassing for the government of Yoweri Museveni.
And just awful story. And final question, Jonathan, what about these girls who have been abducted? What do we think has happened to them, and is there any chance of the government finding them?
If they have to find them very quickly, or they will disappear, rather like the Nigerian girls several years ago. You probably know the story.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't get them back very quickly, now the Nigerian girls, it was many more, but eventually they got back 2/3. They are, of course, taken because they want child brides, and they will be divided out amongst the commanders normally, and they will be used to do cooking and other things. And so, yeah, they need to get them back very quickly. Whether they can depends on how good the trackers are, and how organized this particular group, because they're only between 6 and 10 attackers, but they will disperse very quickly, and they do know the terrain extremely well.